The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by the big logos right atop our heads right there. Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. They go the extra mile for you. Anthony Hartwig, Scotty Mincher on a Wednesday. Man, you know what Wednesdays are about, Scotty. It's Running Wednesdays with Rick Seipert. We're going to hop right into episode 3. It's a great one. Hope you enjoy it. Hey, buddy, welcome into another episode of Running Wednesdays. This is episode 3 with Coach Rick Seipert next to me like he is every week. We have very special guests with us today. Below me, you have Blake Baker from Canfield, and then below Coach Seip, we have Brock Ferris from Boardman, some rivals that are going to be teammates in the future. Joining us today, and these were special requests. We had a lot of people say, you got to get Brock and Blake on the show. So, guys, thank you so much for coming on and joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So my first question, and whoever wants to answer it first can go. What's it like competing with each other now, but knowing you're going to be teammates in college?
All right,
Or you could go, Blake.
So obviously we're competing against each other right now. We've been competing against each other since middle school pretty much, but knowing we're going to be teammates next year is really exciting to me, and us competing against each other right now set up a good rivalry and good team chemistry for next year at YSU.
Yeah, we've always been like racing next to each other for years and years, so it's really cool to see someone who you've been running with for pretty much my entire running career, and you can finally team up other than being rivals. Because like I run with them like all the time. Like we'll go for like an easy run or something together. Like we'll bond sometimes. We'll go places together, but like actually being on a team, it's gonna be a whole different and fun thing.
Well, it's good stuff, guys. Can you guys talk a little bit about your decisions to end up at YSU together? Did you guys collaborate for the decision, or was it just something that you wanted to do all by yourself?
When I saw him commit, it kind of helped me like want to go there, because he's been pushing me for a while now. I've been racing him. We've had some great races in the past. And just seeing him commit, it's like, all right, I know for sure that I'm going to have a good teammate that I know I could run with and someone I could train with and help me get a lot better.
All right, so funny story actually. During the summer, I went on an overnight visit to YSU and got to see some of the team and the coaches. But Brock was on a visit with me, and it really stuck in the back of my head in like the weeks preceding that when I visited and before I committed. I was always thinking to myself, like, I just committed. What are the other people going to do now that I committed? Will they be more motivated to join or just leave? And I always thought about Brock because he lives really close to me, and I've been running against him since middle school, and I was really hoping he'd join us at YSU because he'd not only be a great addition to like the team in terms of talent, but like I've known him like since middle school, and it really helped the team and like our chemistry,
My question is, no matter what sport you're playing, we know the recruiting process is always stressful, trying to decide where you're going to go and put yourself out there to a lot of coaches. And now that that decision's been made, how much easier did that make your senior year, knowing that you don't have to impress people anymore? It's all about just going and running and making your teams, respective teams, the best you can make them. We'll start with Blake this time and then go to Brock.
You know, I was told that during the recruiting process, like your junior year is the most important because senior year, you're kind of all set in stone on where you're going. The top recruits are already gone, like early in the recruiting process. You know, I committed really early, like earlier than most people do, but that's because I was really certain I was going to YSU because I really clicked with the coaches and the team, the fact that it's close to home, the apartments, what I was going to school there for. Like, once I committed like super early in like the recruiting process, it took a lot of stress out of me knowing that I was going to YSU and didn't have to like keep visiting colleges and talking to coaches and just like removing all the added stress of choosing a college. Just was really nice to get that out of the way.
Yeah, it feels so good that it's all done with. Because, like, last year and cross country this year, I was just focused on, wow, I need to get a big PR to impress colleges. And now, like, it's more of like a process other than just PRing now. I'm more preparing for, like, state, regionals, all that. So instead of focusing on, like, getting, like, oh, a big PR now, I'm focusing on, like, well, I could run 3 or 4 events now and they'll all help me get better for later in the season. Like, I don't need a big PR anymore to impress anyone. So it feels really nice that I could just prepare for the future instead of worrying about now and PRing now.
Good stuff, guys. Hey, so let's talk about the training process a little bit here. You guys say you run together with your easy runs, even some long runs there. Let's talk about how we have our favorite workouts or workouts that we really just don't like to do just because they're so difficult. Can you guys run us through some of your favorite workouts to do, as well as some of your least favorite ones? Brock, maybe you can kick off this one.
Yeah, I usually like anything with speed. Like, I love doing stuff like 448s, 4412s. I like a lot of speed workouts. Anything like repeat miles, I'm not a fan of. Track, I'm more like a mid distance runner, so I try and get as much speed as I can. So I'm not a big fan of like any miles or 1200s. I like short distance stuff. Like, there's this one workout we do where it's called like a 12-hour workout. We do like 200s, 300s, 400s, 600s. We just add up to 1200 for a bunch of different stuff, and I think it's really fun because I love getting my speed up. Like, it's a whole different thing other than cross. Cross, I'm just trying to do like tempos, build up my speed, repeat miles, and I like the nice break that I could just do a bunch of 400s and it'll help me for track because I really like doing speed. And during cross country, you can't really do any speed, so it's just nice that I get to do all that now.
How about you, Baker?
All right, so I'm kind of the opposite of Brock. I train heavily for the 3200, which is the longest event in track. And some of my favorite workouts to do, my coach will have me do these shorter intervals. Like, they're like somewhat long, like 1,000 meters, 1,200 meters, 800 meters, but they'll be at 3K pace. So, and we do enough of them to where it feels really challenging, but also really rewarding. We're doing them this year. We've done a few of them. They've been pretty challenging. Some of them I haven't been able to do properly, but they're really rewarding. Like last year we did them. They're some of the hardest workouts I've ever done, but I was able to drop my PR by a lot and really establish myself to like most of Ohio that I can hang with the top guys. Some of the workouts I don't like to do though are we do this workout. It's that 800 piece and it's 8 by 200 with very limited recovery, and I always do really bad on it. Like I'm not doing as well as I should be, but definitely those 3,200 pace workouts are my favorite because I feel like I'm getting a lot stronger as I do them, and I can definitely see the results showing that.
You know, we're nearing the end of your high school career, so I want to reflect a little bit on the starts of your journeys. Blake and Brock, Blake first, Brock second. When did you start getting involved in track and field, and when did you start finding yourself falling in love with it in the sense that you took it a little bit more seriously, put a lot of more time into your craft?
The first time was indoor my freshman year, because freshman year I didn't do cross country. I did soccer. I was a soccer kid my whole life, so I stuck with it. I didn't do cross country. I did cross country my 7th and 8th grade year, and I loved it, but I was still that soccer kid. And so I didn't run cross country, and then indoor track hit in like November, December, and I started to like it. And indoor that year, like I didn't know I was that good, and I came out and I ran a time that no one really expected, and then we ran the 4x8 at state that indoor season, and it just made me kind of fall in love with it to see like how good the success of that feels, how much potential I had. So then, like, that's when my heart finally got set on running and not soccer. So after that, I kind of just focused on running. I ended up doing cross country my sophomore year instead of soccer. But really, that like state 4x8 showing that how much potential I had really made me want to find out what I could do in cross country. And then I'd say when I really started to step it up was the start of my junior year, because I was really good my sophomore year, but I didn't really know how to race as well as I did now. Like I would always go out too fast or something like that. I didn't really know how to eat my sophomore year. But then junior year, I really felt like I matured cross country season. I knew how to eat. I knew how to pace. I was running workouts like as fast as I can, as hard as I can, and I just felt really into it.
All right, so like Brock, I started running cross country in 7th grade, but I wasn't really good at it. Didn't really take it seriously. But then I went out for 7th grade track, and I like my friends pushed me to run a little bit more, and I was immediately like showing up, like showing results like that were a lot better than what my cross country times were. So got me really motivated to try harder. 8th grade year in cross country, I made a major commitment to like take the sport really seriously, and I ended up dropping like multiple minutes off every race that I ran, and from there I just like kept pushing myself, kept working hard, and kept getting to the person I am now. Freshman year, I don't like remember my goals were like make the varsity and run 1840, but out of nowhere I ran like 1657. It was the number two guy and almost made the regional meet as an individual. And then at that point I realized like there was no going back. Like I was fully committed to this. And sophomore year cross country, I ended up making the state meet. Junior year, I got all state. This senior year, I got all state. Still haven't made track state, but I'm working hard at that. And I think if I put together a good race of regionals, I definitely have a great chance to make state.
Absolutely. You guys both have a good opportunity to get out there this year. Um, I know you guys are both well known throughout the area. You both have had a lot of success, and you're both very sporting. I know people from other teams respect both of you, and you're kind of like a little bit of a local celebrity just based on your sportsmanship. I know like everybody on our team appreciates Baker, and of course I know you pretty well from being around you over the past few years, so that's really appreciated from myself as a coach. Let's talk about some of the fun stuff with the sport here. Do either of you have any superstitions or any like I must do pre-meet type stuff before a big one? Blake, you want to start with anything for unique pre-meet stuff that you do?
All right, so usually 2 days before a race, I'll for dinner I'll have like some sort of carbohydrate, preferably pasta or something. Get myself energized for the meet 2 days before. Because during cross country season, we'd always have pasta dinners 2 days before meets, and I always felt like that helped me to get ready for the meet more. I'm also drinking a lot of electrolytes that day to like get myself energized, so I'm not feeling lacking in anything. And I always like do foam rolling and draining my legs, like putting them against the wall and draining them 2 days before a race to get them ready. Always getting like 8 to 9 hours of sleep 2 nights before a race, and just like doing everything I can to be ready for the race and feel energized and feel rested for the race whenever I'm racing.
Brock, anything unique for your pre-meet routines?
Oh yeah. All right. So there's something I started my sophomore year, beet juice, and it seems like now everyone in our area is kind of trying it after, because sophomore year I went in the year wanting to be like, I was like barely varsity at the start of cross country, and I came out of nowhere around districts times, and that's when I started drinking like beet juice, because my grandpa or dad or someone, they said it. And they're like, "Oh, it'll help your breathing out." And I'm like, "All right, I'll try it." And then the race after I tried that, I just blew up. Like, I was always like a good varsity guy. I'd always score good at events, but no one ever thought I'd make state or place anything like that high. So I've always been drinking beet juice before all my races ever since that. And it seems like I've convinced a good amount of people. Like, I talked to a good amount of runners in our area, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you got me on beet juice," and it's just crazy because it's horrible. It tastes like dirt, but I have a lot of people that got on it because of me. So I've just been drinking it ever since.
Raising that flag for beet juice. Let's go. I want to talk about the people in your guys' lives, the role models that you guys have when you look for advice that you need, or just a little pick me up in the day. Who are some people in your life that you guys go to?
For me, it would probably be my coach, Coach Armberger. So I didn't know indoor track was a thing back in like freshman year, and I saw him outside the parking lot because I lived by him. He's like, "Why didn't you sign up for indoor track? I know you were kind of fast your middle school years." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that was a thing." So he kind of started it all because I wouldn't have done indoor track. I wouldn't because of that, and I wouldn't have made state that year, which probably wouldn't have made me switch from cross country to soccer. And I just think he's an incredible coach. He used to do like race like reviews, like he'd review like all of our races. He's always giving us good tips. He just knows what he's talking about. He knows a ton of people. He helps me get shoes for half off. He works for ASIC, so he gets me shoes for half price, which is nice.
That's
And he's
close.
just always at our meets. He's always supporting us, and I feel like he's helped us train so much. And other people I want to thank are Coach Phillips. He's an amazing coach too. Coach Seifert here, you're amazing. And my grandparents, last of all, they've been incredible. They've always shown up to every one of my meets, and they're always screaming. And they sometimes have like a bell or something they like to ring, and they're just always there. And the one year, I think it was sophomore state. No, it was junior state for cross country. They showed up and they went into like a restricted area. They were on the start line ringing their bell when they weren't allowed there. It was only coaches and athletes, and somehow they found their way onto the state start line. So that was a great memory, and they've just always been there.
Man, they're brutal on that state start line too. When we were down there
Oh,
this year, I saw people coming over across the lake there. They were shooing everybody away immediately. So that's pretty amazing that they got down there to ring the bell for you.
Blake, what about you?
All right, so back like in 7th grade, I got to think of a thing. Like my coach Richards, like his daughter's gonna be our future teammate at YSU next year, but he was my track coach in 7th grade. And this was back in like when I didn't take running that seriously, but he really showed me that like I have potential in the sport, and like that really motivated me to get better. And then Coach O'Brien's been my coach for the past 5 years. He's done an absolutely amazing job, like pushing me to my absolute limit, motivating me to get faster, teaching me how to run. Like it just goes on and on. There's also my other coaches that have been this way, Coach Rowley, Coach Lynch. They've been amazing as well, just getting like my mental aspect down and helping me push, push myself to the fullest. They're also they're also collegiate runners too, which also helps a lot. So, Coach Rowley is just graduated from YSU. She's telling me like everything to expect, and it's getting me really excited to take my training and my journey to the next step. And I'm really excited. I also want to give a shout out to my dad too. Much like Brock's parents, he found a way to get into that restricted area at the state meets for the past 3 years, and I said it's like the most high maintenance meet ever. They literally have people rejecting you at the fence because you don't have a coach's bib and you can't get in. Like my mom said it best, their I don't care factor is the I care factor. Like my brother and his girlfriend this past year, they were trying to hop the fence to get in, but like they were yelling at them. Like the fact that my dad's gotten in there 3 years in a row just shows me his dedication to me. Like he's gone like basically every race I've ever run. He's always bringing his camera, even though the quality's terrible. He's always yelling at me to run faster. Like he's probably been my biggest supporter ever.
That's great, good stuff, guys. I got one last question for the both of you. You're both standouts in the area, like I said earlier. What's the most important advice you could give to some 7th and 8th graders that are going to be entering the Canfield and Boardman programs next year? Brock, how about you start it off?
I would stress a lot of like team bonding. I feel like, success is great, but this sport's supposed to be a great time. Try and hang out with your team as much as you can. Feel comfortable around them, because that's really what got me to love this sport. Just hang out with the team, know them, know them well. Like we do stuff like every week, almost like a few times a week, where we bond with each other. Like we'll go out to eat, we'll hang out for a bit, and I feel like it makes it a lot more fun, and it makes you want to do better and be there for your team. Like once I started to I'm like, all right, I gotta do good for this team. I love these boys, and I want to perform the best I can to help us win. And a lot of stuff, you need to get a lot of sleep. You need to eat well. Like you could be the most talented runner ever, and you could suck because you're not eating well, you're not sleeping well, you don't take the sport seriously. You gotta do as much as you can. Anything you can to get success, you have to do. Everything has to be perfect if you want to get that big PR, you want to run in college. You got to do as much research as you can if you just want to succeed.
I have a few words of wisdom. So, back when I started 7th grade, or like back when I started to take the sport seriously in the summer of 8th grade, I always had the goal of going to state, but knowing like my current skill level, I always told myself like that's pretty impossible. Like how am I gonna do that? But like if you choose to believe in that, it's like it becomes possible. Like believe in yourself, be confident in yourself. Do not lose your confidence, because from personal experience, it can like hurt your performance pretty badly. So like that's the most important thing in this sport. Your mentality. You can be like the most physically fit person and like do all the little things right, but if you have a bad mentality, you're almost guaranteed to have a bad race. Like your mentality is everything in the sport. Like good mentality means good results. When you have a good mentality, you break boundaries that you didn't even know you could break. Also, like just have fun on the journey. Like obviously, I've been doing the sport for 6 years now, but I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love every second of it. Like I love the sport. I have so much fun with it. I've made so many friends along the way. Like almost all of my core life memories are from the sport one way or another. Like just have fun with it. When you have fun with the sport, it takes off all the stress you have of like trying to do well, trying to like just impress everyone, trying to impress your coaches or whatever. Like when you're having fun, like the the end results just come as a side effect. Like when you're shooting for goals, don't you just have fun? Like you'll get those goals as a side effect if you're just having fun. Like that's my biggest advice.
Love it, guys. One of the things I want to do as we do at the end of all the profiles, I know you thanked your coaches, but I also want to give you the time to thank anyone else in your life that you haven't shouted out yet. That's how we end every player profile. So if there's anyone out there that you guys haven't thanked or shouted out in this interview that you guys want to, I'm going to give you the time to do that now.
All right, I'd just like to thank my family, my coaches, all my family, all my coaches, my grandparents, all my friends in cross country, because they make me love this sport, and they make me want to come every day and work my butt off and run, because it's a lot. It's a lot to want to run, want to come out here, run like 8 miles a day, want to kill your body every day. So and they make it fun, and so I'd like to thank them and just all the support from family and friends and coaches, because I wouldn't have done it. The one thing is, you could have all this talent and you could have bad coaching. And if you have bad coaching, you could never realize your full potential. But fortunately, we have great coaches here, so I could get in a good spot to succeed.
And just thanking all the supporters I've had, all the coaches, family, friends that have supported me on this way. Like my teammates always pushing me every day at practice to get better, and just like making the sport so fun and just keep wanting me to get better. Like I just can't thank them enough.
Guys, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate both your time and middle of the day. We thank you so much. Thank you again, and we wish you the best of luck the rest of the season. We can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Yeah. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Pulling
Thank you.
pulling for you guys to get into Dayton this year. So we'll see you out there.
Thank you.
That was Blake Baker and Brock Ferris from Canfield and Boardman, respectively. Some, like we said at the top, Coach, some rivals that are about to be teammates.
Yeah, I mean, they both represent their schools very well. And like I said, they're extremely sportsmanlike. I mean, distance runners, they band together no matter what, but those two are like elite ones. I know everybody knows them. My team personally is always excited to see Baker. I was really excited to make sure that we got Brock and Blake on here together because I know what kind of relationship the two of them have. They are rivals, but they're going to do such great things at YSU. I really cannot wait to see what those two do down there together.
I feel like track and the other racing sports, cross country, swimming, it's probably a little bit easier than other sports to build those relationships with your opponents because at the end of the day, the only way they beat you is being better than you. There's no, they're not pushing you. They're not doing the physical things in football. Trying to be nice to a guy that just beat you up for 3 hours on a football field, But it's just if they beat you, they're just faster than you in that day. So I think it's a lot easier to handle this day. That guy was faster than me. I'm gonna be a good sport to him because he didn't do anything to me. Like I said, it's a brotherhood because I think that sport pushes you. You have to push your body to pass a little bit of its limits, and only runners know what they go through, right? So it's almost like a community because only the fellow track and field athletes know what track and field athletes go through to be where they're at.
Especially to distance runners. Some of those guys are putting in north of 40 miles a week. I know some of those long runs get over 10 miles per long run there too. So those guys are really putting their bodies through it. But as long as they're taking care of themselves and doing things the right way, recovering like both of the guys just said, they can handle it, and good things are going to happen for them as their seasons go on.
As we transition into the next part of the episode, Coach, we had a lot go on over the weekend and over the last week since we last talked. Want to go over some of the big results and some of the big names that shined through over the week?
Well, there was a lot of big meets over the weekend. Locally, the biggest one was the Poland Invitational. There a lot of our local athletes put on a complete show there. The Warren Harding Raiders, they were the champions on the boys and girls sides. There were some really incredible performances there. Hanzu, she's one of the hurdlers from Warren Harding. She's been one of the best ones around here for years now. She set a United States standard in both the high hurdles and the 300 hurdles. So I'm sure she'll be putting on a show once the postseason gets going here. Kaylee Richards, I think Blake was talking about her dad being one of his coaches, but she put on a show there in the 16 and the 32. Grace Bundy, she was great in the shot put in the discus. Carlisle from Salem, she did a great job in the discus. The girls' disc event there at the Poland Invite was crazy. They had 5 girls throw over 120 feet. That's huge for this time of the year. So a lot of our locals are doing really well. Cross from Mineral Ridge, Biggs from Poland, and then, like I said, Bundy from McDonald there. Continuing on with the sprint events at the Poland Invitational, Simpson from Niles, she won the 100, the 200, as well as she was anchoring the 4x1 relay there. Then Mia Melito from Girard, once again doing her thing, winning the high jump and the long jump there. Man, she is a special athlete. It just seems like every single week, not only is she hitting high marks or long marks, I should say, but she's just beating all kinds of good athletes out there. So I'm really excited to see how her season ends up here at Dayton this year. On the guys' side from Poland, Mike Malone once again turned in a great race in the 300 hurdles. Madison, Madison from Salem he turned in a great race in the 3200. He's also up for the big dogs this week. And then Mr. Big Dog from last week, Moorfield from South Range, another great race in that 200 there. He took home the W. Out of the area, there were a couple good meets. On Friday night, the Mayfield Invitational was there. Howland had a great meet there. Their boy hurdlers, they put on a show. They went 1, 2, 3 in the invite there, as well as Imogen DeBloy going 26:47 in the 200. She's a tough athlete. They're doing really good things over there in Howland. That entire program is very well coached, and if you don't bring it, bad things are going to happen to your team when you're up against Howland. Up in Avon, Fitch went up there to travel this week, and as always, Fitch Sprints doing their thing. Deani Thompson killing it there in the 300s. Megan Vadas going over 11 foot in the pole vault. Then you have Stallings killing it in the 110 hurdles and the 300 hurdles. And the freshman sensation, the Bryant, turns in a 1084 in the 100. That is cooking for this time of year, especially for a freshman in high school. He's going to be an absolute nightmare for everybody to deal with for 4 years. And then Sully's got back out there, turned into 157 in the 800. So Fitch is cooking at the right time. And, it was a pretty big weekend there. A lot of teams just got way faster. I'm really excited to see how all this stuff goes, because you usually don't get to some of the times that people are turning in right now for another couple of weeks. It was also one of the first weekends we've had where the weather was actually nice. So I know Friday night we had high 60s, and then Saturday turned into a gorgeous day after that morning rain. So it seems like all the athletes in the area came out to play, and we're seeing a lot of really good times and a lot of good performances right now. So there's a lot to look forward to moving forward.
Speaking of that weather at the Poland Invitational, I went there for softball, so I was at Poland, and there were like 60 plus buses there because there were a bunch of schools there. But we heard that in the morning they had to take everyone off for a lightning delay for an hour or so in the back end of the buses, get them back off the buses, restart the Invitational. I'm sure you've had to deal with lightning delays in your coaching career.
No, absolutely.
What's that like to have everyone ready and geared up and in the momentum of a meet, and then have to go to the buses for an hour, await a lightning delay, and then come back out and try to start it all up again?
Well, I mean, you have to figure out a way to keep people interested, because I mean, if your body gets tight, and I mean things can go south really quick there. Luckily, we've found some ways to keep kids happy and ready to go during lightning delays. Several years ago, we went to Berea, and it kind of turned into like a karaoke party on the bus. We got off the bus, we warmed up again, and we turned in some really good times once we got going again. I mean, it's just kind of a mentality. I always tell the kids that when it gets to meet days, that you got yourselves beat up during workouts for the last several weeks, so you might as well come out and perform to your best when you're out there. Like I said, it's just keeping them interested, keeping them loose, keeping them happy, making sure they're drinking still, make sure they're eating. Because there's during lightning delays, especially if you pack a bunch of kids onto a bus, it gets very hot in there.
Yes.
And the air gets sticky. It's just not a great situation in some situations, or in some of the meets that we've been to. But you got to make do. And I always tell the kids that are complaining about it being too hot, too cold, too wet, too rain, too windy. I would say the rain is affecting all 8 lanes. The wind is hitting all 8 lanes. It's not just you that has to compete in that. So it just goes back to what we were talking about with Sophia Yon last week. You have to have that positive mentality with everything, or it's going to let you get yourself beat. Baker even alluded to that today as well. If you think you're going to get beat, you're going to get beat. So whether it's the person in the lane next to you, or the heat, or the wind, you have to have a mentality that I can overcome this difficult thing that's in front of me.
In Poland, we also got the unfortunate reminder that shot puts can be very dangerous. We had an official catch a shot put in the leg, and it did not go very well. I wanted to just take the time to send good vibes to that official. I did not get the name, but when you're hurling a shot put, as far as you can throw it, that can get that's a projectile, and it can get dangerous if you're not paying attention like you should be. And it catches you in the leg. I think it broke her leg.
Yeah, I mean they're dangerous. I mean, we got news of Lakeview over the weekend as well. One of their 8th graders took a disc, I believe, in the head. I don't have all the details, so I don't want to get massacred for putting out false information. But I know that I've seen it happen. People get hit with discs, shots. I mean, it's tragic. Those things are heavy, and they're going. If you're a high level shot putter or discus thrower, you're putting some force into that as well. I'm sure you've seen videos on the internet too of people getting hit with a javelin. I mean, crazy things happen out there. You always got to keep your head on a swivel, but safety is always one of the big priorities anytime you have a meet or a practice or anything like that. So, yeah, hopefully our youngster from Lakeview and as well as that official both make speedy recoveries here.
That is when I pulled back my application to be a shot put official. No more. At that moment, I said, you know what? Not going to do it. I had the application in, and I said no more. But one of the things that I also want to shout out, all that stuff that went on, the lightning delay, the unfortunate injury to an official, but the Poland staff and Brian Banfield, they all did a wonderful job organizing it all. They also had baseball there and softball there, so it was a really busy, hectic, stressful day for the Poland Athletic Administration, but got to give a tip to the hat because they all did a wonderful job organizing it all and getting everything taken care of and done in a timely manner. So tip of the hat to Poland in a very busy day. We don't think athletic directors get enough credit for what they do during the busy times of a season when all 3 sports are going on at the same time at your school.
Yeah, Poland's always a great meet, and they always do a good job running it. So, yeah, tip of the hat to them. It's always been a good experience going over to Poland for their the Poland Classic there.
Coach, you alluded to our big dog winners. We had 2 of them, obviously, one for the girls' side, one for the boys' side. Faith Sullivan from Jackson Milton becomes the second Jackson Milton winner in the first 2 weeks. We had Ryan Romai win in week 1 from the boys' side. Now they have a girls' representative, which means they're pretty well represented already with Faith Sullivan winning on the girls' side of big dogs and Hudson Moorfield, the South Range runner that had a really good weekend as well. He wins Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley this week. If you stay tuned, pretty soon you'll see who the nominees are for the week ahead, and you make sure to get out there and vote for Big Dog of the Valley. ysnlive.com/Big Dogs. Coach, what can you say about Faith Sullivan and Hudson Moorfield and what it took for both of them to win, and just say a little bit about them and what they do so well?
Well, every time I see South Range and the results, you're always going to be looking for Hudson's name in there. Like I said, he won the 200 last weekend at the Poland Classic. It seems like he's getting a little bit better every single week, and he definitely earned it. He definitely earned that honor this past week there. They're doing great things over there in South Range. Like I said, Warren Harding was the meet champion, but the South Range boys were right behind them. So South Range being a smaller school, and I'm pretty sure Warren Harding's boys are the biggest boys school in the area. So for South Range to hang in there with them and just be on their tails the entire day is a pretty impressive feat. And then as for Faith Sullivan, Jackson Milton, she's been a great distance runner. I know her pretty well, actually. Her uncle is one of our assistant coaches, and Mr. Jake Lape. So I've gotten to know Faith very well over the years here. We're always, like I said, we always have a good cheering section for the kids that we know and the ones that put on a show every week. So I'm really proud of Faith to get that honor. I know she was the runner-up at County in the 800, the 1600, and the 3200 there. So I'm really hoping that she gets a couple more wins and she does really well for the rest of the season here.
Let's talk about the week ahead. What are some meets to look forward to before we talk again next week?
This week, the 2 big meets. Everybody in Trumbull County is going to be competing in the Trumbull County Classic, the Trumbull County Championship. It's a 2-day meet on Tuesday for the semifinals and then Thursday for the finals. So everybody from Trumbull County is going to be battling it out there. I'm really excited to see a lot of the races. Just looking at some of the entries, the sprint events on the male side, Liberty versus Harding versus Brookfield, and then some other kids sprinkled in there as well. You're going to see some really good sprint events there in the 1, the 2, the 4, the high hurdles, the 300 hurdles. You're going to see a show out there. The boys mile, it's going to be a tight race from the number 1 seed to the number 10 seed. They're separated by less than 7 seconds. So that's going to be a really hot mile on Thursday when they compete for the final. The 4x2, same thing. The boys 4x2, the top 10 times were all separated by almost less than a second there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with the sprint results over there. The boys 800 is going to be great. Once again, they're all pretty much the same seed times at the top. Can the McDonald boys throwers continue to put a show on? Those two guys are killing it out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform this weekend. You got Jones from Harding. He is a high jump, long jump specialist. And then I can't remember his first name, but Moy from Badger. The two of them are both 6'8" high jumpers, I believe. So that's going to be a show there.
Duncan Moy, coach, and Duncan Moy. He is we know him really well from basketball season. He's one of the best basketball players to ever come through Badger.
Yeah, they're gonna be putting on a show in the 4x8, and then when you get to the sprint events on the girls' side, once again Warren Harding. I want to see those girls go up against Simpson from Niles, and then Girard's going to be in the mix. I never count Coach Farr out over there at Girard. He's going to have his girls cooking, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what his sprinters, jumpers, and especially Girard's 4x1. I know they put their feather in the hat for that race, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do. And then in the hurdle side, like I said, it's Hanzu's world. She's 2 seconds ahead of everybody else in both the 300 hurdles and the 100 hurdles. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what she can put out there this week. So it's going to be a good one. Trumbull County's always got good talent. And then, again, you're going to bring in the McDonald girls distance versus the Maplewood distance squad. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how all those events go for all those schools out there. And everybody else in the area that's not going to be competing at the Trumbull County meet, the Optimist meet, the Optimist Invitational is going to be at Austintown Fitch this weekend. And you're going to be bringing in some big swingers over there. Typically, the Optimist has been one of the better meets across the state historically. So a lot of people will kind of like start to hit their stride at this point in the season. So you'll see like a Blake Baker just running his 3,200 there to see how he stacks up against people, or Brock Ferris just running the 800 to see how he's stacking up against some of the better competition from across the state. St. V's is going to be there, Field, Garfield, Streetsboro, Worcester. The Spire Academy is bringing some sprinters down, so I'm really anticipating that to be a very good meet this Saturday as well. So there's going to be a lot of excitement, and it looks like the weather has finally broke, Coach. So hopefully these times just continue to get warmer, or continue to get hotter as the temperature gets warmer here. So hopefully that weather holds off, and we see a lot of good performances out of our local athletes again this weekend.
I think we've earned some good weather finally. I think we've gone through enough.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Coach, that does it for episode 3 of Running Wednesdays. We thank you for your time as always. Want to remind everyone that's tuning in to keep an eye on the social media accounts for the next batch of Big Dog of the Valley nominees on both the girls and the boys side. We did a great job, calibrating 6 more names, and it's hard narrowing down the whole field to 6 every week because there's a lot of talent, as Coach Sipe has already pointed out really well. A lot of talent in the area. So we'll have 6 new names on the boys and girls side here soon on our social media pages. So stay tuned to that and vote at ysnlive.com/bigdogs. And then I promise you guys, we're teasing it next week. We're going to have a pretty big show. Fingers crossed if everything works out. We're going to have a pretty exciting show next week. You don't want to miss episode 4. Come back next Wednesday. We'll be here. Coach Seipert, Anthony Hartwig. Episode 3 of Running Wednesdays in the books. We'll see you all next week.
Shopping for a vehicle online should be easy and worry-free. Introducing Merge from Greenwood Chevrolet, a completely new way to buy a car that combines the convenience of shopping online with the personal touch and expertise that Greenwood is known for. With Merge, shopping is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Choose a vehicle from our pre-owned inventory, build a deal that fits your needs, and finalize the deal with our online buying team. That's car buying in a new lane. Visit greenwoodchevrolet.com and let us go the extra mile for you.
Running Wednesday, episode 3. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Anthony Hartwig alongside Scotty Mincher here back on the Wednesday episode of Running Point. Episode 3 featuring Brock Ferris and Blake Baker from Boardman and Canfield, respectively. Right now, rivals, but in just a few weeks, I guess, maybe a month, teammates at YSU.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's good to see they got a little bit of that, like the rival. It's a little bit of the juices flowing of a rivalry, but also a mix of the camaraderie as well.
Yes. We said in that episode that running is a community because only track and field athletes know what they go through. They push their bodies to the absolute physical limit. I mean, some of them just vomit after games because they're pushing their body that hard. So, hey, they know what they're going through. So there's a brotherhood and a sisterhood there for the track athletes that run and cross country. We'll put them in there too. Scotty, it's your turn, buddy, man. We want to talk to you this week. Of course, we bring you on every week. We love talking to you. You had your very first softball game broadcast experience on Monday at Columbiana. The Clippers win 10-0 in a game that you and I both agree much closer than the score appeared. United left a lot of opportunities on the table there. What are your takeaways of your first game, buddy?
Yeah, it was quite a delight, and I gotta say, I'm glad I chose to do this week and then stick with last week, only because I've turned into a freeze baby the older I get. I do not like the cold, so yeah, it kind of gets sticky, and it was pretty hot out there the other night. But I'll still take that any day over the cold. The cold used to not bother me as much, but now it does get to me. But the game itself was a blast, Anthony. You always make things. You make it easy. You always give so much great support. You have great insight. So I know you're never gonna let me, fall or fail. So I just wanted to thank you again. It was so much fun, and Columbiana, they just had that kind of every inning putting pressure on United, but the difference was they came through with the clutch hits, with the ducks on the pond, and also Mackenzie Gamble, especially that rise ball, she was just lights out. So any jam or any situation she got in, it's like she was better even in the pressure situations. Like she kind of locked in and it was laser focused. So I thought that was a big takeaway from the game as well.
For those of you that didn't get to tune in, Scotty was my color commentator, so he brought his softball knowledge to the table, and he was a great color analyst for that game. And for the first game, Scotty, you got 2 home runs and a walk off. You had a good pitching performance from Mackenzie Gamble. I don't think there's much more you could have asked for in your first game of your broadcasting softball career.
No, it was great, and it was funny because you joked on the broadcast to me about the power of chicken nuggets,
Oh yeah,
and it seemed like it was simultaneous. Like as soon as you said that, we saw the homers get launched out of the yard. So
if I remember correctly, I said that after Caitlin Plesser's first home run before her next at bat. And then her next at bat, she came up and cranked one to the wall that was almost a home run. I said, Scotty, we almost got 2, buddy.
yeah, and then
Didn't have quite
the
enough chicken nuggets.
following at bat
Yep. Then
was
Mackenzie Gamble came right behind her and just said, I'll take care of you. I had my chicken nuggets.
yeah. And now thinking about it, Anthony, I haven't eaten much today. It's kind of making me hungry.
We hit eat some chicken nuggets to be able to go hit bombs. So.
Yeah, I might have to eat some chicken nuggets,
But yeah, it was a great day, Scotty. We were happy to have you there. The weather was smiling down on us. We had a great warm day. Columbiana did a good job. It was senior night. We had a cookout. They had free water there. So, Scotty, I know you got some water in you. So to keep hydrated, I was worried about you there. I said, Scotty, you better keep hydrated, man, because you're going way too fast in the hot weather.
It is,
He was speeding all over the field, man.
Your mom was
I
like,
had to chase him down.
your mom was like, you want some water? I'm like, I definitely not gonna pass up that water.
She opens the bottle and just pours it on you. Oh, you want to drink it? Oh, I'm sorry, Scotty. I thought you meant you wanted it poured on your head.
Thought you wanted to.
I thought you wanted to wear the water, not
cool
drink
down.
it. My bad.
Yeah. But it was just so much fun. I do like. There's a part of me, and I love being a color commentator, and I feel like it really is. It was so much fun. I feel like it's kind of my thing, like where I'm most comfortable. But there's a little part of me that's like, um, you know, maybe one day if I had to do like play by play, I always wonder, how I would be. But
Scotty, you should have told me that. I would have thrown you an inning. I would have given you an inning of play-by-play in the game.
I want to work my way up to it. So we'll shoot.
Okay, Scotty, we'll get you there though, buddy. We'll get you there. And next time, I'll just, you know what I'll do, because this is the best way to do it. You got to get thrown into the sharks. So it's like when you learn how to swim, you just sink or swim. I'm just gonna be talking, and one inning pops up, and I'll be like, "All right, Scotty, you got this inning. You're play-by-play," and there you go. You get the inning.
All right, cool.
All right,
just throw me right to the
I'm
shark.
throwing you into the water, man. That's how you sink or swim.
Sink or swim. I like it. So
yeah, you won't know when it's coming. I might give you a couple of more games before I do it, or I might do it in the next game. You just never know. You always got to come prepared.
Gotta come prepared, and I definitely will, for sure. But I'm definitely most comfortable. But maybe it's a good thing to kind of get uncomfortable. There's always room for improvement. So
my career at YSN is that in a absolute, like if a picture was drawn of getting out of your comfort zone and then being able to thrive because of it, that's my career at YSN. Scotty, you probably have heard my lineage. I mean, I started out as just a color commentator. I'd follow DJ around, and we did South Range games together. That was back when we had 8 teams, and as YSN grew, you needed more broadcasters to go do games, right? So, and there were too many teams that were doing really well. They needed coverage, and it was like, hey, you gotta expand a little bit. We need a voice, and you're good at talking, so go be a play-by-play. And I'm going to be a play-by-play. And then it was, hey, we need you to do a little bit more than just South Range. Even though I was the South Range guy and I was locked into those games, that was my comfort zone. I knew everybody there. It was a year where Poland was undefeated, and that was the first team I ever covered outside of South Range was Poland. So you go over there and you just meet new people, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. Wherever I go, people are loving what we're doing at YSN, and it's an awesome environment. So then here I am covering every team and the content director and pouring love into every team with the stories we write and the interviews we do. And wouldn't have happened if I didn't take that first step, man. Wouldn't have happened if I said, you know what, I'm going to be a play-by-play. I'm going to go cover, outside of my comfort zone. Still love the Raiders. Still a Raider alum. Still proudly a South Range guy. I got them on my shirt today. Always be a Raider, but you sometimes you just got to come outside of your comfort zone to say, you know what, every one of our other teams at that point, I think it was like 14, they all deserve the same support that I'm giving South Range, and that's what happens. You just grow. You grow from stepping that foot out of the comfort zone.
Uh, yeah, definitely. For sure, you grow and you become the all of a sudden before you know it
Right.
in another year or two you're that much more versatile in what you can do.
And I'll tell you something else, Scotty. You will fail forward when you step out of your comfort zone. You got to give yourself grace because you are taking steps you've never taken before. I don't know why I'm using the steps metaphors when both of us are in wheelchairs, but but you got to take those steps, you know? And when you take those steps you've never taken before, sometimes you're going to trip. It's just, you and I both know sometimes you're going to fall. It happens, right? So you always got to fail forward. You always got to make those mistakes and learn from them and keep going and give yourself grace. I think is the biggest form of advice I could give you into stepping up into the new comfort zone. Because if you look at your first game that you do play by play and you go, well, I sucked and I'm never going to do it again. Then go watch my first play by play game. Don't even remember what it was. If I had to really remember, don't remember what the first game I called by myself was, but it probably wasn't great. Probably wasn't great, Scotty.
uh if I could, I know we only have a couple minutes left, but
Oh, we can go in a
since
little
you
bit of
brought
overtime too. I
since
mean,
you brought it up, I am intrigued. Um, do you have, like, in your time commentating, do you have like a favorite like moment in a game up to this point, or like
that is gonna be. I would have to sit here and listen because every year, Scotty, it seems like it brings up brand new moments that are awesome, that are amazing, that you don't forget. I remember, like, I'll never forget calling the first state tournament game I ever called back when Poland went there in 19, I think, with Brooke Bobby and Abby Farber and that group and Ashley Wire in the circle. Um, Getting to Firestone Stadium, being able to go down there and do that game with Brendan Miller, that's a memory I'll never get back. And now I've done a couple of we've had the blessings of having other teams get to state since then. But Firestone Stadium was my home for my summer home, I guess I could say, for 5 years, going to Akron Racers games and being a season ticket holder. So to be able to go back to that place that I hadn't been in a couple of years because the Racers folded and they were sold off and the MPF kind of went away. So to be able to go back to that place and be able to call a game there at a state championship in a place where I watched the best softball players in the world do their work. That's probably one memory I'll never forget. Just being able to be there in that moment. Now, I've been there other times after, but it's almost like this. You never forget like the first time you were there, the first time you ever got to do it. But I will say that last year's state semifinal where Canfield walked off with not a sacrifice, with a squeeze bunt, that was pretty awesome. That was pretty awesome. Um, I remember a couple of buzzer beaters I've been a part of that were just phenomenal. There was a volleyball game I did, and there was one play that made it so memorable. I have it saved on my Facebook. It's up there. I watch it like every volleyball season. I probably watched it like 3 or 4 times. It was a Mooney game, and Amara Anderson had a kick save where it went off of her foot, and then Mooney got the point. That was pretty awesome. There's just a lot of moments that you gather in your career, and I think, but for me, if I had to pick one, it would be going back to Firestone Stadium after spending so much time there, so many great memories at Firestone Stadium, watching the Akron Racers, being able to go back there and for the first time as a sports broadcaster and getting to call the state semifinals between Poland and then I think the regional finals were also there that year. So being able to call Poland winning in the regionals to go to state, and then being able to call the state semifinal game with Poland there at Firestone back in 2019. That was I wore a Racers jersey. For the nostalgia. So I don't think I'll ever forget that.
Yeah, that's and I'm glad you brought up several different moments and memories, because it is so hard.
I'm probably forgetting like 5. Like I'll probably be thinking like in an hour or two, be like, I should have talked about that one because that was awesome. It's just it's a lot. You know what? one just popped in my head. I remember Mary Brandt, freshman year, who's a senior now at Poland, hitting a buzzer beater to send a tournament game against West Geauga into overtime, and then Poland went into overtime. And it was a half court buzzer beater. It was like a desperation. Just chuck the ball up, it goes in, they go into overtime, and they win the game. Remember that game was phenomenal. I remember getting to call volleyball games with a couple of Jordan Youngs who came up for one volleyball game, who was a volleyball standout for South Range and went to continue her career at Muskingum. And then after she graduated there, one game before she started her illustrious nursing career, which made her incredibly busy, she came up to the broadcast booth and did a game with me, and that was a cool moment because I was a supporter of her before I even started to watch Ysn. I went to all the South Range games and ran social media for them, so I was covering her social media, and then I'd be able to call a game with one of my good friends. That was fun, and yeah, there's just a lot, Scotty. Now it's all you got them flooding back to my memory bank.
Yeah, I'm glad, and hopefully, this is just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg for me here.
Scotty, you're always welcome at any softball game I do, buddy. You just gotta reach out and be like, "Hey, I'm coming." I'll be like, "All right, let's do it."
All right, sweet.
And I'm
Sounds
sure baseball is
good.
the same way with DJ. He'll let you on any baseball game you want.
Awesome. Yeah, I absolutely loved it, man. Like I said, I love being the color guy, but you know, I was thinking, and I'm glad we brought it up because I was thinking before the show today, like, if I really want to get better, you got to be willing to get uncomfortable. So,
Careful what you wish for, Scotty. Next time you put on that microphone, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
but
All right, buddy. That'll do it for Wednesday's episode of Running Point. We are a little bit in overtime, but that's okay because there's no show at 2 to 3, but there is a show from 3 to 4. DJ in the Power Hour will have Scotty on today as well, and can't wait for that and what that show has in store. I will be back tomorrow, 1 to 2. Scotty and me will be back next Wednesday for another episode of Running Wednesday. I want to take the time to thank Brock Ferris and Blake Baker from Canfield and Boardman for giving us their time and having a wonderful interview on Running Wednesday, episode 3. And we'll be back next week for episode 4. Can't wait. Scotty will be back next Wednesday as well. I will be back tomorrow from 1 to 2. Running Point, always brought to you by our good friends right above our heads, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.